Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about why the Dungeons and Dragons community refuses to leave the North and go to the South. And we're going to talk about this from the perspective, we're going to talk about how this is fully illuminated, how the things that the Dungeons and Dragons community do not want to look at, the things they do not want to consider, the responsibilities they do not want to pick up, the duties they do not want to accept, are illuminated by Frank Herbert's Dune, by Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2, by Zendaya's Dune Part 2, by Timothée Chalamet's Dune Part 2, by Javier Bardem's Dune Part 2. Let's get into this. All right. So in Dune, spoilers for all of Dune. All right. So in Dune Part 2, we see something pretty incredible, and it is really fascinating, just what exactly we're tuned into with Dune Part 2. So in Dune Part 2, there's the Na Baron Fade Routha comes in and takes the place of his brother, who has been unable to secure spice. The Fremen have been having a party, right? Like just destroying, spice, the Harkonnen spice collectors, destroying, absolutely reaping Harkonnen soldiers, just really having a good old fun time, right? Murdering, actually, it's not murdering, like taking back their land, right? Like, the Fremen have every right to take the trespasser, right? So there's this point where Fade Routha comes, and he uses old-fashioned artillery to literally melt rock on the heads of the Fremen, and he just goes to town, and he secures the North, right? And he actually pushes the Fremen. He hits the Fremen so hard that the South call for war council, and they're like, and so they call for war council, and they say, listen, all the Fremen leaders, get down here to the South. Get down now. Maudib, you've been doing great in the North. We know you've been having a fun time up in the North, just reaping Harkonnens, right? Just slaying at will, right? We know you've been having just a delightful time, taking down, spice collectors, taking down the drop ships that drop the spice collectors. Play, fun, but it's time to come south, all right? And you know what? What Paul Maudib Atreides says, he says, I can't go south. I can't go south. I cannot go south. Right? And Gurney Halleck's like, hey, man, it's no problem. We're going to go south, right? Chani's like, hey, let's go south. Everybody, even Chani's friend is like, it's time, man. They're ready for you, right? And Paul's like, I can't go south. Right? Now, why? I'm going to explain to you why. Paul Maudib Atreides in Dune represents the Dungeon Master. Why? He is the voice from the outer world. We, the Dungeon Masters, are the voice from the outer world. The Dragon Masters, the players, they are the voice from the inner world. When they speak in the voice of the player character, right? They speak from the inner worlds. What are the inner worlds? Right? Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Dark Sun, Ravnica, Theros, and most important of all, the one that links all, the one that bridges every world, Strixhaven, the most important world that has ever been opened. on Dungeons and Dragons. The ramifications of it aren't, it is. You want to know worm sign? You want to know worm sign? Strixhaven. Strixhaven is worm sign. Trust and believe. Right? That's a grandfather worm that has not surfaced. I can tell you that right now. Right? People have no idea what Strixhaven accomplished. I know who Amanda Heyman is. I see her. I know what she did with that book. Nobody else does. It's coming. That's the grandfather worm. That is the grandfather worm. And the best dungeon masters ride it. All right? Okay. Let's get there. Let's get there. All right. So, Paul Atreides, and then we the dungeon masters, when we speak from the outer world. What world do we speak from? You know it. You know it. You know it. Jord. We speak from Jord. We speak from Jord. Okay? All right. Let's get there. Why does the Dungeons and Dragons community refuse to go south? What is the north? What is the south? Let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you. Listen carefully. The north is the fun friend game that you've been playing since the 80s. Oh, hey, friends, come on over. Let's have some pretzels and some beer. Let's chop some goblins in half. Let's do something useless. It's just fun here. Just telling a little story. Nothing matters. Just fun. Nothing can be accomplished with Dungeons & Dragons. We're just having fun. Can't fix anything. Can't improve anything. Can't transform anything. Doesn't matter. It's worthless. Just friends getting together. Just friends getting together. Nothing more. Just a little fun. Right? Paul Atreides just getting together with the Fremen, having a little bit of fun. Reaping some Harkonnens. Taking out some spice mining equipment. Just fun. No responsibility. No duty. Right? None of the hard stuff. What is the South? It's what I've been saying for 5 years. Right? It's what Ben from Questing Beast said today, in my humble opinion. Take a look at the title. Take a look at the title. Take a look at the title on Ben from Questing Beasts video, or on March 5th. Quote. It's not Ben speaking. He's speaking the words of someone else. But it's a quote. You know what it reads? D&D is not a game. It's exactly what I've been saying for 5 years. There's a little bit more behind his, right? He's got different reasons. The person he's talking about, their text, different reasons, but it's the same words. D&D is not a game. It's what I've been saying for 5 years. In my humble opinion, it's not a game. Right? It's not a game. It never was. Is not now. Never will be. You know what D&D is? It is a tool to improve and transform the individual. It is a tool to improve and transform the culture. You know who said that? Joe Manganiello pretty much said the same thing from a DND Direct. Said that he was having elevated conversations with people who had used Dungeons & Dragons to transform their lives and the cultures they live in. Does that sound like a game to you? Has anybody ever said that about Monopoly or Uno? No. Right? Like, no. Nobody's talking about elevated conversations from Dwarf Miner, like from Catan. Nobody thinks there's any wisdom buried in that stuff, right? Nobody is saying, Scythe is not a game, because they are games. But now, my words are being echoed. D&D is not a game. Ben from Questing Beast, everybody loves him. Best dude in the OSR, best dude in the indie. Got a channel 10 times better than mine. But he's saying what I've been saying for 5 years now. Well, he's putting it in quotes and he's echoing it from someone else. He's saying what I've been saying for a long time. D&D is not a game. Right? And here's the kicker. When you say D&D is not a game, the way I do, when you believe what I believe about Dungeons & Dragons, that it's not a game, it's a tool It's a tool to transform the individual. It's a tool to improve and transform an individual. A dungeon master or a dragon master. It's a tool to improve and transform them. It's a tool to improve and transform, by extension, after the individual, the culture. By extension, after the culture, the society. It's a tool to improve and transform the individual, the culture, the society. When you believe what I believe, that Dungeons & Dragons is a tool, the fun is gone. You don't need friends. You need people who know how to craft powerful narrative. You need people who want to look in the mirror and reflect and find out exactly who they are, who want to ask the question, am I good, am I evil? Who want to ask the question, am I bound to law, am I bound to chaos? Who want to ask the question, what does it mean to have an unbound identity, as many as I wish? What does it mean to be manifold sentient? What does it mean to have 35 sets of emotion? What does it mean to have 35 sets of memory? What does it mean to have 35 sets of experience? What does it mean to bleed? To bleed emotion to emotion, sensation to a sensation, experience to experience. To have so many identities in yourself, you're not sure where one ends and another begins. Where there's more of you in your player character than you can remember. When there's more of your player character in you than you could see, than you could feel, than you could emote. When you've bled between the two. That's the South. That's where I am. That's where I've been. I went south. I went across the storms years ago. And look on this channel. You will see the crossing storms. I have stories of campaigns that have fallen apart because people didn't want to go where I was going. They're saying, Scott, this crossing is too hard. There's too much sand, right? There's too much wind. There's too much lightning. I'm not comfortable. That's exactly right. For a long time, my campaigns have not been comfortable because we had to bridge. We had to bridge the divide between the North. We had to leave the fun and the friends, and we had to go where there is duty and responsibility and understanding and striving. I left the North behind. I left fun behind years ago. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to cross the belt? Are you ready to go where Dungeons & Dragons can really take you? Are you ready to play with people who are not your friends? Are you ready to abandon fun and see what Dungeons & Dragons can actually do? In my humble opinion, the only way you will see it, is if you cross the belt. Guess what? Being right here, that's your first step. That's you standing high on the dune, pulling out those barbed poles and getting ready to ride. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. What's really important is when I hear your humble opinion and where I hear your intention. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.